honestly, one of the greatest joys I ever get in this business is to come here to Hall H to thank you guys for allowing us to do this. Thank you.
Hugh, it's so great seeing the character up there. It's so great seeing the Wolverine up there. For you, I mean, what can you tell us about the journey the character has in this movie? It's an extraordinary change for him.
Everything Jim and I wanted to do about this movie was to make sure that fans who have seen the X-Men movies, first Wolverine movie, or for those who haven't, this is something completely fresh, completely different. Obviously, you guys know it emanates from probably one of the most famous comic book arcs, the Japanese story or Samurai Saga. And 13 years ago, I first read that in my trailer, that comic book, whilst being in my trailer filming X-Men 1, and I said to Lawrence Shuladonna, this is the movie we need to make. Well, 13 years later, it's here. I think you get to understand way more about the character than you've ever seen before. And as many of you have said to me on planes, in the street, various places around the world, you finally get to see the Berserker Rage in full. So I hope you enjoy it.
James, I wanted to ask you a little bit. We have some more time. What's for you? You know, one of the things that you got to do in this film is we see a Wolverine who does suffer, who is in peril because he's always healed before, but things are a little different in this movie, right?
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but I think that one of the things that we wanted to explore in this film that was resonating throughout Claremont Miller, and I think is a big issue for any character that doesn't die, that can recover from any injury, or in Logan's case, I guess almost any injury, is how do you go on living when everyone you know and love fades away? What is that like? You know, we've seen even in the first Origins and in the other X-Men and in our film, we see Logan's been present through history. And we know through the comic books he's been present through history. He's been here a long time. But what's that like? Falling in love, losing the people you care about, watching people die and having to start again. And let's be honest, Logan isn't exactly the most socially adept character we've ever seen in comic books. So when you lose the people you're intimate with, at some point you start to withdraw and get low. And it was our decision when we decided where we're going to start this film in relation to the timeline of everything else, that we're going to begin when Logan's lost everybody. He's lost everybody. The X-Men, Professor X, Jean Grey, by his own hand, in fact. And so when we find him in the Yukon as Claremont Miller begins, we're finding also a character who has retreated from relationships with other living people.
And, you know, romance doesn't always go well in superhero movies. In Marvel movies in general, I mean, the great romances would be, you know, Peter Parker and Mary Jane or Gwen, and of course Tony Stark and Tony Stark.
Logan loves women. Logan has always loved women. If there's one place, I mean, you comment on it.
Yeah, no, we talked about this right from the beginning. There was another thing, apart from the relationship with Jean Grey, I felt we could go way further with it, is in the DNA of the comic book series, is that his saving grace and his kryptonite is women. So finally in this movie there are 4 incredible female characters. There is, as you saw briefly there, Jean Grey is back. You get to understand probably more of that relationship, what it means to him. But there are 3 other great female characters, and personally, and on behalf of Wolverine, that was a great thing.
Sometimes I felt like we were making a Fellini film. With hardcore action. Chill out.
This is a little specific, but the claws look different this time around.
We retooled them a little, just a little. We did a couple things. I think you might notice the hair is a little less
nutty,
80s rock. And the claws we added. I actually went back and we had props. I was just looking at detailed drawings in Claremont Miller and saying there's a lot more bevels and a lot more stuff happening on these blades. The blades in the comic book were more lethal from every direction. And the ones that I had seen when they brought out the ones that they had used in previous films, it looked like you could only get cut one way. Well, we wanted to make that you could get cut 2 ways. So 3.
There's a lot of puncture wounds in this film. Yeah.
Puncture wounds, you say, yes.
A lot of puncture wounds, yes. And some real puncture wounds, let me tell you. I am very, I'm trying to remember the name of that TV show I used to watch growing up. One of you guys will know. Danger, Danger, Will Robinson. What was that?
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. Sometimes with the claws, I resemble the robot so I'm a little dangerous with those claws. But so in the making of and also in the movie, there's quite a lot of puncture holes.
But he's brave. I mean, that you see some of that fight when he goes, when Hiroyuki Sanada says, "What kind of monster are you?" and Hugh replies.
Need more sound.
Okay, you're right. Nice.
Wolverine.
Nice. Sorry for the unprepared thing there. More echo, please.
It's better in the movie, trust me.
Yeah. But the point I was making is that fight between those two. Hiroyuki is one of the great swordsmen and martial artists of Japan and a great action star there. And Hugh, he deserves it. He's amazing and has a canon of films behind him. And that fight with long sword and short sword and claw was something to behold, and is on the film. Was also something, me kneeling beside the camera, to behold in real life, because these two badasses were going at it with blades, and it was just about staying out of each other's way. Those were sharp.
You know, when the movie that comes out next year with Wolverine, with that film, Wolverine will tie Superman for a number of movies he's been in. And he will be second only to Batman, who is a DC Comics character, I'm told. Hugh, for you, and those other two, I mean, Superman's been played by 5 different actors, and this is your character, is going to tie Superman. I mean, what is that like for you to kind of try to get your head around?
It's very, very difficult, and it's actually thank you. Really, I should be clapping you all, because when X-Men 1 came out, really no one knew how popular it was going to be, and that's because no one understood the power of the fans that are represented here today. And I am forever grateful to you all, because that was the first movie I ever did in America. I got the part almost 14 years ago, and I am loving playing it more than ever. But I hope you don't mind me doing this. I did it last time I was here, and I'm not someone to take things for granted, and who knows? This may be the last time I am here with Wolverine. I'm not fishing for anything, I'm just saying, who knows what's going to happen. But I have to point out, so many people for many, many decades before me picking up the mantle of Wolverine created, nurtured, and made that role into what it is. And some of them are not here today, but there is one man who is Len Wein. Stand up, Len. Where are you, Len? Where's Len Wein? There's Len. By no means the first to be cast as Wolverine. Someone else already had the role and unfortunately couldn't do it. I know from several actors, Russell Crowe being one, that the part was offered to a number. Not only did I come off the reserve bench, I was somewhere deep in the stands when they were making this movie. And when an actor gets to come onto the field and get probably what I think is the greatest role out there, I'm not going to let it go easily.
What do you guys think? The Wolverine? You guys interested? James, thank you so much for joining us.
July 26th.
July 26th. Hugh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you later.
Sorry, I've just got one little thing to add. It's not very often I'm here, but listen. One of the great things that being in movies like this, these big blockbusters, playing a character like this has afforded me is the opportunity to do other things. I've had great opportunities which this role has offered me. And particularly being able to do smaller, more indie movies. And I hope you don't mind, Jeff, I certainly hope Fox doesn't mind, but I'd love to take this opportunity to introduce you to the director of a movie I've got coming up. It's a smaller movie and I'd like to bring him out on stage. It won't take long. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryan Singer!
A smaller movie.
Bryan Singer! Hey, Bryan.
Hey! I fucking knew it.
Didn't fool her.
That's what they say, Fox isn't going to surprise
great. Anyway, but thanks. It's so great to be back here. It's been a few years, like a decade. It's great to be on stage with you. It's incredible, and it's been a really great journey. We're up in Montreal making X-Men: Days of Future Past. Because we're a year out, a lot of the visual effects, none of the visual effects are really complete, and many of them aren't even works, and we still have a lot of shooting to go. But I did cut together a little piece of film to show.